Infinity Plus is a proud sponsor of the NSIC basketball tournament. With good rates, good products, and good people, that's a slam dunk. Visit affinityplus.org for more. That's Affinity Plus.
Welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for joining us on this Monday afternoon. 106 right now. Temperatures around 20 degrees, give or take a little bit throughout the valley. And we're looking at pretty calm conditions right now, especially from the foggy conditions we saw this morning. But we have more weather in the forecast, and we'll touch on that during the show. As always, the phone number to our show is 701-293-9000. You can give that phone number a ring to get on the show, ask a question, drop a comment, join on the conversation. You can also reach us via email at weatherorag@flagfamily.com. And we're going to start our show off now picking up on one of our ag topics here. And I don't necessarily know if this is ongoing around in Fargo or the surrounding towns, North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota. So if you have input or any knowledge on this, give us a call, 701-293-9000. And this is going along the lines of a potential vegetable shortage. There we go. Another thing to add to the shortage. And if you didn't think there was enough, we're adding vegetables. And Bridgette, you were able to find a little bit more detail about this vegetable shortage, because I know that it was a couple of grocery store chains, and I forget the one, but I know that Aldi was one of them, and they were putting a restriction on how much you could buy, and I believe it was tomatoes, cucumbers, and peppers.
Okay, let's just stop with the shortage, because it's like using the word bomb cyclone. It's just there for drama, okay? So let's think about it this way. When you are looking at what's happening in the European countries, and should I not call it bomb cyclone drama, by the way? Am I supposed to use that as like a real term? You guys gave me a funny look.
I mean, a bomb cyclone.
That's why we had the funny look.
Okay, because you missed your chance to give that up. Okay. So when it comes to what's going on in those European countries right now, who controls all that access, or a lot of the access that's been going on with natural gas in Europe?
Russia.
Ooh, yes.
Yep. The whole Russia-Ukraine thing has put a lot of people on pins and needles, even home heating, that they haven't been able to get natural gas, which is what would normally at this time of year be heating greenhouses where they'd be raising these fruits and vegetables, well, particularly the vegetables like we mentioned, so that there's still demand, but you don't have supply. So when we say shortage, I think it's a spot outage situation where you might not get what you want right now, or as you saw, maybe you're a limited production amount. And that's simply because it's based on global demand. And also North Africa, there are some African countries over there that do raise some tomatoes. They've had a lot of disruptions in their supply chain, but also they've been dry. I mean, it's Africa. Isn't it always a drought over there? Yeah. Am I wrong, guys?
Most places.
So I think it has a lot more to do with energy than it really does that we're running out of food at this point. And supply chain is all about logistics.
Right. Well, the other thing with it too, I mean, we are in off season.
Right. We
over
are
here in the United States, even though they grow year round in California area south. I mean, it's still off season.
Do you know one of the largest tomato growing areas is actually in Illinois?
Really?
Yep.
I had no idea.
Red Gold tomatoes.
Dean, that's where you're from.
And they're
What
not
part of Illinois?
We'd have to go look at a map for me to tell you for sure. I just know Red Gold is there, as well as like a festival that raises squash for our pumpkin pie filling. Well, they're not planting right now. So those crops just aren't in the ground. They're not growing.
So do you foresee this being a short-term thing and kind of spotty?
I do. And let's face it, everybody needs something fun to talk about. So if you're a worldwide news organization, the word shortage, especially post-pandemic, seems like a great way to get people's attention, doesn't it?
Well, especially if you add it on to groceries,
right?
Vegetables. You think that's not a fiasco enough with the prices and eggs?
Price. Yeah, I'm way more concerned about pricing situations for most folks. I mean, what we all used to spend at the grocery store, I know that the overall inflation number is supposed to be like 12%. I'd say it's a lot higher than that.
It's definitely higher
Just
than 12%.
Look at what you've been spending. It's gotten high. And for heaven's sakes, beer has been high.
You know, I noticed that too when I stopped at the store, and usually my suitcase runs me about $22, and now it's about $27.
Part of that is apparently aluminum and packaging. They still have aluminum, like cinnamon.
Yes.
And they haven't caught up with all of those packaging goods yet. I mean, remember right away when the pandemic started and people were worried about cardboard At the time I worked for a company that couldn't get cardboard to put product in to ship out because everybody was sending stuff home. So there's still some of those outages that can happen. It's really weird.
It's kind of weird. And, kind of going on talking about overseas and effects here in the United States with that, vegetable shortage. There's still some ongoing effects that are hitting the United States from things that are going on overseas, not just from bad weather in North Africa and Spain, and also with the Ukraine war and their grain exports, but the earthquake that hit Turkey. And we talked I think it was a few days after that earthquake had happened, possible concerns or impacts that could mean for the United States. Do you have any updates on that? The effects of that earthquake from over in Turkey and Syria? I believe it was Syria.
So the United Nations has an organization called the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, and they have been assessing what's going on over there because we know that the tragic loss of life, buildings where people lived, et cetera, are gone. They're all way damaged way beyond being able to fix them back up. But what happens when you get to some of those rural areas, roads, irrigation systems, greenhouses, storage facilities, barns, all that type of thing have been destroyed as well. Or if you have roads that are just flat inaccessible. And so right now that FAO organization is talking about needing $10 million to try to reach 330,000 rural people. And it was also Turkey as well as Syria. But that's the biggest part, is getting supplies to folks. And livestock, they encountered death with livestock. Also, if you had water lines that were ruptured, like a well, et cetera, and you can't get water for your animals or your crop, there's a number of things that are affecting them.
Well, right. And I just did a little Google search while you were explaining that. And I was just kind of searching, what kind of agriculture products are coming out of Turkey. And I didn't get too deep in to see what actually comes over here to the United States. But Turkey's a major producer of wheat, sugar beets, milk, poultry, cotton, tomatoes, and other fruits and vegetables. And it's one of the top producers in the world. Want to take a guess? What? Top producers of what? Two things.
Pomegranate.
That might be on there. It's close. It's apricot is one.
Okay,
So I'll give you that
so
one.
stone fruit.
And the other one is a nut.
Macadamian.
Hazel.
Oh, really? Hazel, I'm surprised at.
Hazelnuts and apricots, one of the top producers in the world. So they're...
Hold on. Remember last fall when there had to be a deal made with the UN in order to get wheat from from Russia and Ukraine? They had to get wheat released to get to Turkey because those people needed it to eat. That tells me that they are definitely an importer, because if they're raising wheat, but they have to still bring more in, they aren't making enough or producing enough to get it around for everybody. Just
so with those other things, and I believe that death toll last time I heard it was I think it was 40,000 people.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of damage that happened over there. And long-term effects of just trying to catch up and rebuild, and money issues with all of that along. If these are some of their big things that they're producing, that's probably not going to have the highest priority in some cases.
What part of Turkey are they farming in, though? Are they?
You see, now that's a good question.
Because this was right on the border with Syria, so
right, it might not
I think
be
it
there.
might be in northern parts of Turkey where they do more of their farming.
And which would go back to roads and infrastructure and just not being able to get what they need from place to place. Because that's been no doubt a concern. I think when I think of Syria, I think of a country that's probably not got real great infrastructure due to all the times they've been bombed. And they maybe haven't recovered completely from that either.
Right.
There's a lot going on in those countries, you guys, that we don't ever have to think about here. Never phases us as to what may go on in some of those other places when you're farming in a war zone.
So it looks like they got a lot of farmland along their north country, along the southwestern portion, and then in between the mountains and the valleys. I think that's
And they're a growing population, much like India. So as we think about China's population declining over the next few years, that would be a market potential, is selling to places like Turkey, India, et cetera. So those are things to keep in mind.
Right, definitely. Well, why don't we take a look at that forecast now, because it was a little foggy today, and we're expecting the winds to kick up later today, and then we have a couple chances for snow in the forecast. Dean, what can you add to that to explain a little bit more on what our week is going to be looking like?
Well, meteorological spring starts Wednesday. Unfortunately, Mother Nature did not get that memo. Today, not a bad start to the day. It was foggy, but temperatures even this morning were 29. We've fallen off a few degrees. I think we'll rebound a little bit as we head into the afternoon. Temperatures low 30s for highs. Winds will start to ramp up out of the west-northwest, so 15 to 30. And as we head into tonight, partly cloudy. And if we see enough breaks in the clouds, we've got a pretty strong solar flare that's a magnetic storm coming off the sun that's going to hit the Earth's atmosphere, and that means northern lights will be visible tonight here in the FM area, assuming we see enough clear skies. So I know there was a pretty good show last night. Tonight should be another pretty decent show as well. We'll drop down to a low around 10, and then Tuesday we'll have partly cloudy skies and then increasing clouds throughout the day. System that's riding in out of the northern Rockies will start to spread some snow in here towards evening. Best chance is going to come overnight Tuesday night, and that will last through Wednesday morning. Winds will ramp up out of the north while this system slides to our south, and there's going to be a small corridor of moderate snowfall, generally along and south of 94 corridor. We're 2 to 4 inches of snow. Some spots we're getting some indications could pick up to a half a foot, but models have been over forecasting all winter long. So we're going to take the low end on this for now. We'll see how this develops. But even if we see 2 to 4, we're going to have quite a bit of wind with it Wednesday morning. So your commute Wednesday morning, probably going to be a little bit difficult to kick off the month of March. And then quiet weather all the way the rest of the week after that little hiccup on Wednesday with temperatures warming back to near 30 or in the 30s as we head into the weekend. So a little hiccup to start off the month of March and then kind of mellow things out a little bit. Not a bad looking forecast overall.
Doesn't sound too terrible. And, we're almost all the way through winter.
It's better than...
I don't know if I'd go that far. But
it's almost there.
Almost.
We're
almost
March
there.
1st.
We can see light at the end of the tunnel.
Absolutely.
I mean, November, December, January, February. That's 1, 2. That's 4 months. There we go. Had to make sure I counted that. We only have like 1 or 2 more left.
You're not a math major, are you, over there?
I'm a math minor, believe it or not.
I actually don't. But that's going to be a perfect timing for us to go get our guest lined up, and that will be Chad Berger with Berger Bucking Bulls out of Mandan, North Dakota. Looking forward to talking to Chad shortly.
Happy Harry's presents the 58th annual Red River Valley Sportsman Show, March 2nd through the 5th at the Fargo Dome. The Sportsman Show is really 5 big shows in one. A boat show with the latest in fishing boats, pontoons, runabouts, personal watercraft, docks, and lifts. It's a camping show with North Dakota's largest display of RVs, campers, and trailers. A travel and vacation show with over 100 resorts, campgrounds, and hunting lodges. Guarantee your dates now by planning your vacation right at the show. A hunting and fishing show with a great selection of rods and reels, tackle, and the latest in outdoor electronics. Daily hunting and fishing seminars featuring Ted Takasaki and Todd Ammonroot. Kids fishing clinics, live trout pond, and introducing the exotic birds of Wildlife Wendy. Save $1 coupons and show information available at fargosportshow.com. It's North Dakota's largest, the Sportsman Show, March 2nd through the 5th at the Fargo Dome. Bring the whole family and don't miss it. A Sonenko production.
Hey, it's Bonnie Mastati from Bonnie and Friends. Join us weekday mornings beginning at 5. Coming up at our next show, we are going to be chatting with attorney Kevin Kircher of Onstead Twitchell Law Office in West Fargo. It is tax season. We will talk about gift taxes, things you need to know. And who's ready for DQ? The historic Moorhead Dairy Queen at 8th and Main opens March 1st, as it does every year. We'll chat about it with owner Troy DeLeon. All this and more in the next Bonnie and Friends beginning at 5 a.m. Join us.
You've got advanced prostate cancer, but you're not waiting around. You want straight talk, the facts about Orgovix.
Orgovix Relagolix 120 milligram prescription tablets is a treatment for adults with advanced prostate cancer. Fact: Orgovix is a different kind of androgen deprivation therapy treatment, a pill, not an injection. Orgovix may cause serious side effects, including a heart condition called QT prolongation. Tell your doctor right away if you feel dizzy, faint, have a racing or pounding heart, or chest pain. Orgovix can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during treatment and for 2 weeks after Orgovix treatment. The most common side effects include hot flushes, increased blood sugar and blood fat levels, muscle and joint pain, decreased blood hemoglobin levels, increased liver enzymes, tiredness, constipation, and diarrhea. Other side effects include weight gain, decreased sex drive, and erectile function problems. Orgovix may cause infertility. Talk to your doctor if infertility is a concern for you.
Go with Orgovix. Ask your doctor. For more facts, visit gowiththefacts.com.
Do you suffer from stiff, achy, chronic knee pain? Have you been told you have arthritis? Is knee pain keeping you from enjoying your favorite hobbies? If so, the next 60 seconds could change your life. Please listen carefully. If we find you are a candidate for our unique approach, we will do a trial treatment, and day one you will know without a doubt if we can help you. Pick up the phone right now and call 701-502-6200. And best of all, we may be able to reduce and even eliminate your knee pain without pills, shots, or surgery. Due to limited capacity, you must call now at 701-502-6200. Hurry. Call now to find out if you qualify for our program that is changing lives and helping people save time, money, and agony. Call now 701-502-6200. You have nothing to lose, so call right now.
Is your bathroom looking old and worn out? Want to update it, but you don't know where to start? Then let BCI Bath & Shower show you how to turn that old bath into an aisle of beauty and functionality. Our residential bathroom solutions provide the best value on the market, and our customer service is second to none. Our cost-effective BCI Bath & Shower family of products has what you need.
Remodeling our bathroom was a big decision for us.
They didn't make a mess out of our house at all. And at the end of the day, we had a beautiful new bathroom. And it was a great experience the whole way through.
We have the best monthly payment programs in the industry, with payments as low as $68 per month, or no interest, no payments for 18 months. For a limited time, be one of the first 100 callers who schedule a free in-home consultation and receive $500 off. Call 800-721-9985 for a free, no-obligation price quote. That's 800-721-9985. Factory-trained and certified installers made in the USA, and discounts for seniors and military. BCI Bath & Shower, the leader in affordable bathroom products. That's 800-721-9985.
Stop by Family Dollar for the ingredients to a perfect lunch and find more while spending less. Pick up Bumblebee tuna or chicken salad, Lay's, Powerade drinks, and for dessert, Little Debbie snack cakes. Family Dollar, helping you do more.
Welcome to WDAY Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Bridgette, Readel Ag Director, along with Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki and Justin Storm, Meteorologist Extraordinaire. Happy to have you joining us this lovely afternoon. It is 1:23, and we have a guest with us today. That would be Chad Berger of Berger Bucking Bulls out of Mandan, North Dakota. Chad, thank you kindly for taking the time to join us today. We really appreciate it. How's things in Mandan?
Well, that's great, and thanks for having me.
Well, we'll just get the ball rolling. I'm going to be completely selfish and tell you the whole reason that I wanted to book you was because my dad was always in great admiration of your rodeo stock. Not that we were a rodeo family, but I just know about the long and storied history of it. And I'd love for you to share with folks what your business is all about, what you folks do.
Well, it's it's kind of been in the family a long time. My dad started raising bucking bulls in the mid 60s, and for me and my brother to practice on, and pretty soon he started keeping all the heifers, and pretty soon he had a string of bucking bulls, and some of the best bulls in the world that he raised, the world champion bulls like Little Yellow Jacket and Yellow Jacket and Moody Blues were all world champions, and I always had a passion for rodeo and bucking bulls, just being around them my whole life, and so I started my own company 20 some years ago, and we've had a lot of great success, and it's been one heck of a ride, really.
Literally one heck of a ride on a bull. Nice. I like that touch there, Chad.
and Chad, for people that don't know, I mean, so you got bulls, you got bucking bulls. What makes these bulls buck? I mean, is there a certain way?
They're genetically they're bred to buck. These bulls are out of great lineage, great bloodlines. So they're bred to buck, but you have to get the niche and figure out how they buck the best. And that's what side of the chute they come out of. Bulls are left-handed, right-handed, just like me and you. You can tell when they're young, when they're just babies, they'll always lead with their left leg or their right leg, and then there's a flank strap you use that hangs on their flanks to make them buck a little better, kick a little higher. And the only reason it's a foreign object, and the reason they kicking so high, they're trying to get rid of it. And God, that's an awful bull buck in there. That ain't one of mine.
Yeah, for those who are watching the live stream, there's just some live stream of bull riding.
Yeah, this is just finding out giving them the best advantage you can for them that's what gives them the upper hand, and that's what you try to find out in every bull you raise or buy. I've bought a lot of bulls. I see them being not handled right or not flanked right, and I'll buy them off somebody, and I'll make them a way better bull than they were when I bought them.
And Chad, we've got an email from one of our listeners saying to ask you, that they heard that the reason the bulls buck is because they've got like a harness or something right around their their sensitive area
over the manhood.
Over the manhood, and that's one of the Is that true, or is that just a old wives' tale?
That's a PETA. That's a PETA talking point. Is all that is.
Okay.
You can't. If you ever put a rope around their testicles and pulled it tight, I always tell people, just try that on yourself and see how high you can go. It would literally paralyze the bull, and he would just stand there and do nothing.
Right.
It's all that flank strap, generally, that you see on the back of their flanks. What I was telling you earlier, it's on there just tight enough so it won't fall off. And all that, like I said, it's a foreign object that they're trying to get rid of, and it's nothing more than that. It's these. Animal activists will come up with all kinds of crazy stuff.
Right.
Let me tell you something about a bucking bull.
Okay.
Especially a PBR bucking bull, or anybody that takes pride and wants their animals to do good. They're treated better than any dog or cat that has ever existed on this earth.
Absolutely.
They're pampered. They're taken care of. 90% of those bulls that you see out there bucking those guys off and throwing the clowns around. You can come to my house on Monday morning, walk in the pen, and pet most of them.
So they're
docile. They're absolutely become part of a family, and so
that's a huge question, Chad, that I wanted to ask is what's their temperament like when they're not in the ring, and do you have specific breeds that you look for, or is it really animal dependent on whether or not you would use them for bucking stock?
Well, it generally it's genetics but. Years ago, they bought those bulls out of Florida, out of the swamps in Texas, and they rounded them up, and they were wild animals, and they bucked them, and some of them bucked and some of them didn't. It's gotten to be more of a science now. They're genetically bred to buck. They enjoy their job. I mean, these bulls love what they do, and they're like any other athlete. They're going to get hurt. They're going to pull a muscle. They're going to strain a back or do something. But you let them heal. You take them to the vet. You take care of them just like you would a pro basketball player. If he blows his knee out, you're going to rehabilitate it, and he's going to play basketball again. The same thing with these bulls.
Right.
They're athletes.
Sorry about that. We've had a couple of guests on before, and one of them was an equine horse therapist,
massage
therapist. Do you do any massage therapy or other kinds of muscle therapy with your bulls?
Yes, we do, and I have a chiropractor that shows up about 4 times a year, and he'll, believe it or not, he'll get their backs in line, and they're like us. They need to be taken care of, and if you're an animal lover like me, a bull lover, you're going to do everything in your power to give that bull the advantage.
Oh, absolutely. And I love your passion when you talk about that, about livestock care, because that's what we want to share with our listeners is how important that really is. We're going to take
I've won 12 world titles to stock contractor of the year, and it's only one reason, and that's because them bulls are taken care of. There's a lot of guys that got a lot of great bulls, but they're not taken care of. Like, I'm a cattleman, to give you a bigger history on us. our family's been in the cattle business for generations. My grandfather, my dad, me, all cattle buyers. And it's our job to look for anything wrong with an animal when you're buying them. So I think I have the upper hand on most stock contractors because I see things that they don't see, because that's all I've been trained to do my whole life, is to look for blemishes and look for cattle that something wrong with them. When I'm order buying for all these feedlots, I have to make sure the cattle they get are 100%.
Chad, it's 1:31. We are going to be back just after a few moments, and we have way more questions for you. Again, for those who are listening, we're visiting with Chad Berger, Berger Bucking Bulls out of Mandan, North Dakota. Berger Bulls is going to join us after we come back from this.
Hey everyone, John Adams here. I hope you'll join me on WDAY Radio for my new talk show, Talk of the Town with John Adams. Every Wednesday from 11 to noon, we'll talk about issues that affect us all in the Fargo-Moorhead community. We'll talk taxes, the diversion, places to go and things to do, and of course, bison and Viking football. We'll talk about issues that affect everyone in this great community that we call home. That's Talk of the Town with John Adams, Wednesdays at 11 on WDAY Radio.
The team at Cole Papers says go Dragons at the NSIC basketball tournament. Cole Papers is a proud supporter of MSUM athletics, and one of their owners is even an alum. Cole Papers has been family owned for more than 100 years and is now serving customers in 11 locations around the upper Midwest. They specialize in commercial laundry products, food services, packaging, chemicals, and equipment. And Cole Papers says go Dragons and good luck in Sioux Falls. Find out more at colepapers.com.
When you're headed to Sioux Falls, the Fairfield Inn and Suites is the perfect place to stay. With complimentary breakfast and great accommodations, including pool and hot tub, the Fairfield Inn and Suites is across the street from the Sanford Pentagon and 2 miles away from the Denny Sanford Premier Center. They have a shuttle to and from the airport, next door to the Blue Rock Bar and Grill, and only a half mile from Great Shots. Whether you're in Sioux Falls for a tournament, a weekend getaway, or a stop on the way to somewhere else, make your reservation at the Fairfield Inn and Suites by Sioux Falls Airport and enjoy your stay.
Arlen Swenson here with Northwest Blinds. My wife Carla and I have been helping homeowners and businesses in the area with window treatment needs for nearly 2 decades. Northwest Blinds will come to your home for a free consultation showing samples of the latest in window coverings. We strive to stay within your budget while offering professional installation and personal service. Give us a call at 218-236-4813 or visit nwblinds.com. At Northwest Blinds, we say, you'll wish you had more windows.
Happy Harry's presents the 58th annual Red River Valley Sportsman Show, March 2nd through the 5th at the Fargo Dome. The Sportsman Show is really 5 big shows in one. A boat show with the latest in fishing boats, pontoons, runabouts, personal watercraft, docks, and lifts. It's a camping show with North Dakota's largest display of RVs, campers, and trailers. A travel and vacation show with over 100 resorts, campgrounds, and hunting lodges. Guarantee your dates now by planning your vacation right at the show. A hunting and fishing show with a great selection of rods and reels, tackle, and the latest in outdoor electronics. Daily hunting and fishing seminars featuring Ted Takasaki and Todd Ammonroot. Kids fishing clinics, live trout pond, and introducing the exotic birds of Wildlife Wendy. Save $1 coupons and show information available at fargosportshow.com. It's North Dakota's largest, the Sportsman Show, March 2nd through the 5th at the Fargo Dome. Bring the whole family and don't miss it. A Sonenko production.
What do eyewear and weather have in common? Join us for the Aspire Optical Eye on the Sky weekly weather forecast to find out. Each Tuesday morning, Dean Wysocki, Justin Storm, and myself, Ashley Freeborn, owner of Aspire Optical, will bring you the 7-day forecast.
You never know where we'll be or how it will be presented, but we promise to bring you the most accurate forecast this side of the Red River.
And learn how you can save big on eyewear from Aspire Optical.
Watch the Aspire Optical Eye on the Sky weekly weather forecast on our Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter pages.
Trust us, this is weather and eyewear like you've never seen.
On the next Coffee Club with Janae and Ronnie.
It'll be Tuesday, which means we feature another amazing nonprofit. This week, we're going to be talking to Nate from the Perry Center, and also Tony Gehrig joins us in studio.
Plus, we'll have all the latest weather information you need to know. Potential, maybe another winter storm, March 7th and 8th. Find out here.
The Coffee Club, weekdays 8:30 to 11 on AM 970 and 93.1 FM WDAY.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for rejoining us. 1 36 this afternoon. I'm meteorologist Justin Storm with Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki and Ag Director Bridgette Readel. And our guest today that we've been speaking with during our last segment is Chad Berger from Berger's Bucking Bulls. If you want to join in on the conversation, ask a question, 701-293-9000. Now, Chad, we had a couple emailer questions that have come in during our last break, and one of them was, they always see some kind of handle or a strap on the back of the bull at the bull riding that they use. How do they work? Is it something that you grab and it wraps around the waist? Is there anything?
Wrist, not waist, wrist.
Yeah, the wrist, excuse me. And then is there anything with it to avoid injury for your arm and your hand or your shoulder?
Are you talking about the bull rider?
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's a bull rope. It's a braided rope with a handhold in it. And they use some rosin to make it a little sticky. They pull the rope up tight, put it around there, wrap it around their hand, and anymore the block is what it's called. It's such a high rise in the handhold that all they have to do is let go pretty much now, and their hand will come out of the rope. Where years ago the blocks weren't like that, and people got hung up a lot, and they still get hung up once in a while and get drug around in the bull. And it's a bullfighter's job then to jump in and try and save him.
I see. So when you're raising these bucking bulls, is there a difference at all from just regular bulls? Is there a difference in how you raise them? You had kind of touched on, you give them some pretty good care, but is there any distinct differences?
Well, the only distinct difference is the mother. On a like an old Angus or Hereford cow, they're gentle and they walk in a pasture and they fall in a hole, and where these babies are alongside a wild cow that, every time they move or see something, they jump, and if they see a hole, they'll jump over it, and that calf is there, and he learns everything from his mother, and that's why he's so catty and athletic and so much more hyper, because he was raised by the same mother that was the same way. And so yeah, there's really no difference other than the female on an old Angus cow is going to be docile, so the calf is more than likely going to be docile. Where these cows, they're meaner than the bulls. Like the cows we raise, they're meaner than the bulls are, and these calves are raised by them cows, so they're going to be just like them.
Mm-hmm. So I want to touch back on something you said in our last segment, and this is going back to the world titles that you have. I believe you said you had 12, and with the bulls that you've raised, how do you go up that ladder to have one of your bulls win a world title?
Well, I've won 12 Stock Contractors of the Year titles. I've only won about a half a dozen Bucking Bull of the Year titles, and it all goes back to what I was saying, is how you care for your animals, and how when you have a great animal, how to take care of them, and to make them the best he can be. I've had world champions, Code Blue and Asteroid and Smooth Operator twice, and Smooth Operator is the only bull in the history of the PBR to win a world title at 10. And that's longevity, and that's taking care of your animals. That's the oldest bull in the history to ever win it, and that's because we took care of him and kept him fresh and kept him healthy. And that's basically, it's the care of the animal that's going to get you a world title. You can have all the best bulls in the world, and if you don't take care of them right, they can't. You ain't going to give them a chance to win.
Right, but how do you
have to give them every opportunity?
How do you get to that level though? Because not everybody can just send their bulls up to the PBR competition. Is there some, criteria? In a way with sports, is there a league where you get points, you reach a certain ladder rank, and then you get moved up to this next class of riding and so forth? What does that aspect of it look like?
Well, some of the bulls, like I take to smaller events and get them groomed and get them confidence. They're just like any athlete. They got to buck them guys off and build their confidence level, just like your kid does in a wrestling match. If you got to take him to a level where he can win, and if you take him to a level above his head and he gets whipped every time, guess what? He's going to say, "Dad, I'm done with this." That's what that bull's going to say. He said, I don't want any more of this, and he'll quit bucking. And so it's an art, and I think, you know, I never quit learning. I'm not saying I got it perfected, because you can learn. I learn something every day, and I'm very open minded, and I'll listen to anybody if I can learn something.
Right.
And
so with
I think we've just done like I said, I got competition out there that's probably got as good a bull as me, but it's the care and the high protein diets I put on, and the exercising, and I mean all the extra stuff it takes. You know, Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson, there was a lot of great players that were probably as good as them, but they never did the work that Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan did. They did, you know, they went out and partied while while Magic was shooting 500 free throws. His buddies were out chasing women and raising hell, and they were probably just as good as Magic, but they didn't do the extra work, right?
Right.
And
and that's a lot that goes into it. It is the extra work and the extra care that you do. But how do you, with that, what's the scoring on it? Is it how, like, to get into those different levels, those different classes, is it how fast your bulls buck somebody off? Is it the amount of people that they buck off? Is it the level of the person that they're bucking off that allows them to move up or down in this ladder?
The bull is scored just like the rider. Okay, the bull is scored 1 to 50, how great he performs, as well as the rider. Well, if you got a bull that's scoring 44 plus all the time, he's a great bull.
Okay.
And that's how they're rated. You know, to win a world title on a bucking bull, they take his best 8 outs of the year. You go in the world finals, and you add them 2 scores in there, and the bull that's got the highest average is the world champion bucking bull. And that's basically how they're rated. And if you got a bull that's just barely scoring over 40 several times, guess what? He's like the baseball player that's in the major leagues and he ain't hitting the ball. Guess what? He goes to the minor leagues, and that's what happens to these bulls. They got to go back down, and they get their confidence level back up, and they start showing that they're a 42, 43 point bull. They get to come back, and it's basically how they're rated.
And Chad, what do you do with the bulls when after they retire? You know, you're getting up there in age. All right, they're just not hitting the scores. It's time to retire them. What do you do with them?
Well, the great bulls never leave my ranch. They live here until they die. I've got a grave site along a tree rows out here. Everyone's got a headstone on all my great bulls, like Asteroid, Smooth Operator, Pearl Harbor. Jack Daniels After Party was a world champion PRCA bull. They're all Smackdown, Cooper, Copperhead Slinger. I've got all my great bulls live on this ranch till they die, and they go on I've got a graveyard, and they're all marked so that when I'm gone, then people know what's there. I've got probably a half a dozen bulls that are 13 to 15 years old right now that cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to keep them around, but they ain't nobody ever going to eat them because they've earned the right to live out their life, and that's what I keep telling you about these animal activists. An actual beef animal only lives on this earth. Some of them only live 13, 14 months, and they're gone. They're in the supermarket,
slaughterhouse,
right? And some of them get to live to about 24 months. And then you got your cows and bulls that live longer, but none of them get to live a life like a bucking bull. You know,
how long is a lifespan on a bucking bull?
Well, you know, anywhere from, they'll get old. You know, they get old after they're 12, 13, but
so kind of
they'll
like
live
dogs.
to be, some of them will live to be 19, 20 years old.
Yeah. Wow.
But a lot of them, you're looking at 15 to 18 range. They're like a dog, yeah.
Yeah.
As far as aging.
Chad, is there any way you get to judge if you had a favorite out of all the bulls that you've raised and used as rodeo stock?
Well, I've got so many great. I've been fortunate to have probably more great bulls than anybody in the history of PBR, but I always smooth operator, just being a world champion at 9 and 10. And he got hurt when he was 5. I got him back to health. He split his pelvis from his spine. Took over a year to heal him. Then he went and cracked his kneecap. Had another year out. And healed him up. And then at the age of 9 and 10, be a world champion. He's got to be one of my very favorites. And I had a bull called Pearl Harbor that I think is the rankest bull I ever owned. That was the reserve champion when he was 5, reserve champion when he was 6, and which, judging, it's by humans, so there's human error. I think he should have been the world champ. And the next year he was so far ahead of everybody that they couldn't catch him, and he went and got a blood clot and passed away at the age of 7. And he was probably one of my, if one of my favorites, if not my favorite. Mm-hmm. There's so many bulls that it's hard to say I had that one, because it's kind of like your kids, right?
Right.
If you told me which one was, I have 3 kids. If you asked me which one was my favorite, I'd say they all are. And the bulls are the same way.
Now, Chad, before the bulls, before they expire, and do you keep their bloodline going at all, so you can keep raising the top bloodline on your farm and your ranch?
Definitely. I've got every one of those bulls I was telling you about. I've got calves out of them. I've got hundreds of straws of every one of them, thousands of some of them that we sell the semen out of and we use for our own use. And the lineage, Little Yellow Jacket was born in 1996. They're still sons of his bucking today.
Wow.
Almost 30 years later. And heifers that are a lot of his daughters. I'm going to put a feather in the young lady's hat here, but I still say that 65-70% of the bucking comes from the female. I think she's plays more important role in the raising of a great bull than the bull does itself. I always tell people you can take a great bucking bull and breed them to a bunch of Angus cows, and you might not get anything that bucks. But you can take a good rodeo cow, bloodline cow, and throw an Angus bull on her, and some of them are going to buck. So to me, that should tell you that the female is the biggest part of the whole thing.
Don't mess with mama.
No. And Chad Berger, thank you so kindly for being our guest today. You are a cattleman through and through. This is what you do. This is what you look for on an everyday basis, and you have raised some wonderful stock at your ranch near Mandan, North Dakota. We just can't say thank you enough for joining us here on Weather and Ag in Focus. For those who are listening, we're going to catch up with the American Ag Network for the markets and be back after this.
We got to keep.
I got to call.
Tune into the area's only live weeknight sports show from 6:30 to 8. It's primetime sports on WDAY radio. A quote from this article says from you, if there's anybody here that doesn't think you can win a state championship, I want you to step out of the gym. Where did that come from? How has this team turned the season around now, looking like a team that's destined for a state tournament? Did they always have that? Was that a heart-to-heart that you had to have in order to kick them into gear?
All credit goes to the kids. They've just been wonderful, and they have a belief, and so when I sat them down and talked about a state championship, I wanted to make sure, the whole reason for that is I wanted them to believe that we believed in them still. That was the point of the whole talk, because I think then I truly do. And when I said it at that point, that they can make a run at a state title. I really do.
It's primetime sports, weeknights from 6:30 to 8 on WDAY radio.
Hey, it's Bonnie Mastati from Bonnie and Friends. Join us weekday mornings beginning at 5. Coming up at our next show, we are going to be chatting with attorney Kevin Kircher of Onstead Twitchell Law Office in West Fargo. It is tax season. We will talk about gift taxes, things you need to know. And who's ready for DQ? The historic Moorhead Dairy Queen at 8th and Main opens March 1st, as it does every year. We'll chat about it with owner Troy DeLeon. All this and more in the next Bonnie and Friends beginning at 5 a.m. Join us.
Hey everyone, John Adams here. I hope you'll join me on WDAY Radio for my new talk show, Talk of the Town with John Adams. Every Wednesday from 11 to noon, we'll talk about issues that affect us all in the Fargo-Moorhead community. We'll talk taxes, the diversion, places to go and things to do, and of course, Bison and Viking football. We'll talk about issues that affect everyone in this great community that we call home. That's Talk of the Town with John Adams, Wednesdays at 11 on WDAY Radio.
Grain markets under pressure. You're listening to the American Ag Network. of Jesse Allen with this market update. Talking now with Mark Lucas of Stone Exit for Arlen Suderman. Mark, as we look at the grain and oilseed trade, mostly lower, led down again by Chicago KC wheat. I know these charts, they're looking a little uneasy across grains. As you take a look at the trade here on this Monday, what stands out to you? What are you seeing?
You know, there's quite a few things kind of playing into it. And, you know, last week to kind of wrap up the week, I mean, corn, you know, it's been termed a 2-day purge in corn. I mean, we took out some support areas in corn, you know, nice little uptrend line we had working. When we violated that late Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, just, you know, the funds came in and sold it off to a large extent. So the old crop contracts are down somewhere around 25 cents, 27 cents for the week on corn. And, you know, yeah, we've talked to death the bad weather in Argentina, and we know the effects on, you know, bean yields and corn yields with that. And yet Brazil is doing quite well and, you know, can replace a fair amount of what Argentina is going to fall short. So, you know, I think we've kind of traded that to death here. And even though just 3% of Argentina's beans are rated good to excellent, which is I can't even imagine a number that small. But yet, if Brazil's doing well, maybe that's all we need to trade with that.
And again, that is Mark Lucas of Stone Exit for Arlen Suderman. Corn, beans down moderately. Wheat markets under some double-digit pressure here. Meantime, cattle trade moderately higher there, led by feeder cattle, while the hog market under some moderate pressure, down around $1 in most front-month contracts. Crude oil down 47 cents, 75.85. This is the American Ag Network. I'm Jesse Allen.
Hey, welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. I want to thank you for joining us this afternoon. And we got a few minutes left. We're going to quick hit weather recap, and then we'll hit some more ag topics. But we've got a quiet afternoon. Winds will be picking up, though, out of the west-northwest as they are right now. A lot of clouds around, but I think we'll see increasing sunshine as we head throughout the rest of the day. With highs today, again, right around the freezing mark, maybe a few degrees higher. And then tonight, should turn partly cloudy. And again, assuming we see enough clearing tonight, which I think we will, make sure to try and catch the northern lights. Again, big magnetic flare has kind of erupted off the sun. We had one piece of that hit the Earth's atmosphere last night with a pretty good display of northern lights, an even stronger one expected to hit tonight and tomorrow night. But tomorrow night's going to be cloudy, so that's pretty much shot there. So if you can get out, and timing of that, it's so difficult to forecast the timing. Like last night, it hit between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. So I would just kind of go out during that time frame and see if you can catch the northern lights tonight if you're so inclined. It'll be chilly, lows near 10 above, and then as we head into tomorrow, partly cloudy. Clouds increase. We'll see light snow develop by evening, so most of the day will be all right, with highs in the mid to upper 20s, and that snow overspreads the area tomorrow night and lasts through Wednesday morning. A lot of wind with this on Wednesday morning, so could have some travel difficulties Wednesday morning. 2-3 inches of snow. Some spots could get 4 to 5, but not a big storm. But again, going to have quite a bit of wind with it, so keep up to date on the forecast on that.
I'll be honest, you guys, I could have talked to Chad for like the whole rest of the hour because
Right.
Chad Berger with the Bucking Bulls out of Mandan. That was sort of fun. And for those who want to do some follow-up, you can find his website, Chad Berger Bulls. Feel free to Google and look at all of that. And also, if you ever want to do a Google search or a DuckDuckGo search, you can actually use his bull names. And like Yellow Jacket has his own Wikipedia page.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
He's that cool of an animal.
That's super cool.
So these are well taken care of. We didn't even talk about Chad's years riding bulls himself.
Oh, we could have definitely gone another
and
half hour.
That rolls into what's the difference between a bullfighter, a rodeo clown? What happens? Like you were talking about the scoring, right? How do you score a bull rider? And there really is criteria of how you score the rides. And the same gets scored the bulls too. It's pretty neat.
It's pretty intense, honestly.
It is. Yeah, all that.
Especially when you have all of this behind the scenes going in. I mean, the bulls themselves are world-known athletes.
They are. They really are athletes. And I loved what he said about we get a chiropractor. They do they do bovine massage therapy there. I mean, that's pretty wild.
Dean should go see that chiropractor because his back is jacked.
I bet that guy could fix you up.
He could probably fix you.
If he could fix a bull, he can fix me.
Right.
I hope so.
Right.
You're as stubborn as a bull, but you kind of sound like one too now.
Or full of bull, one of the other.
All of the above.
All the above.
Yeah.
And then there was all the discussion we had off air that we couldn't even have on air about, after the critter dies, how do you keep the genetics going?
Yep.
Maybe that's a whole nother conversation we need to have with someone who does artificial insemination on animals to
explain that. Does it involve a giant needle?
Well, no, not
Not all the time or sometimes?
Well, so there actually was a story I had a few weeks ago. I don't remember that we got to do it on air here, that we ran out of time. But literally, if you had an animal die unexpectedly, there really is an extraction method to remove like ovaries or semen from a bull, ovaries from a cow at post-mortem. Yeah, you only have a certain amount of time to do that.
Right. Huh. Interesting. Well, we were just kind of also mentioning, I mean, that in itself is an expensive part of the
genetics
industry,
of it.
the genetics. It's stupid expensive. Because what were you saying? You were mentioning that they keep these in like vials or straws, whatever you want to call them.
Yep.
It's like $40,000 for
it can
maybe an ounce.
Well, think about some of the just the selling price of the live animal. You have a rancher out by Mandan as well. Shafts have sold $1 million bulls. You know, you're buying one animal for well over $1 million. So now if you want to have more little ones of that, you got to figure out how much that's going to cost per straw. And you're right, you're going to keep those straws like in a liquid nitrogen tank for X amount of time. They have a shelf life, and you're going to use that to pass on the genetics to keep that bloodline going.
That's crazy.
There's a lot more to it than just
it.
And as we said, oftentimes you don't even put a bull out with cows because you can have a 2,000-pound bull and a 1,200-pound cow, and it can be easier on the cows just to do artificial insemination.
Well, and you also have to worry about, that and death as well. I mean, I've seen a video where, letting it go the old-fashioned way, the two horses in the backyard, the one bucked and kicked the guy horse right in the head, and it didn't make it after that. And that was a champion racing horse that was just gone.
Right. So those things do happen, right?
It's safer to do it that way.
Sure. Mother Nature can be a little bit cruel.
It really can be.
So got to watch out for those things. But the nice news is you don't really have to watch for the weather except for maybe Wednesday morning, huh?
A little hiccup Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. Yeah.
Won't be bad.
How big of a hiccup?
I'm driving Tuesday night. When does this hiccup start?
No. Where are you driving?
Well, I got to go to that bull sale that couldn't go on last week because it stormed.
And where's it at?
Just over the border into South Dakota.
You were heading right into the worst part of it.
Bridgette.
What time?
How do these storms know where you're going to go? I mean...
How do I know what...
God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm! Wait. Everybody calm down!
When should I leave?
When are you leaving?
When should I leave, Dean?
Afternoon? Are you spending the night there?
No, I wasn't spending the night. I was coming home after the sale, so like supper time-ish.
Oh, you'll be all right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're coming back supper time?
Uh-huh.
You'll be fine.
That's what they
all
say.
No, you'll be fine. I thought it was like late at night or something.
I'm going to have to put a snowplow on this pickup. I can see it. Goodness.
I'm not saying a word. But that's going to do it for us here on Weather and Ag in Focus today. Thanks for joining us. Remember, you can find us on Facebook and YouTube, where we live stream our shows every day and upload our topics, conversations, as well as our interviews in an easy format to click and find. But we'll be back tomorrow, 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Fun guests tomorrow, as well as some more interesting topics that we'll get to. Everyone out there, have a great rest of your afternoon. The Jay Thomas Show's coming up next.
970 WDAY AM and 93.1